Your last chapter is about death and remembrance. Is it possible, or did these great leaders aspire to be remembered for themselves on an ego basis, or did they aspire to serve a cause greater than themselves?
No, I think that is the distinction. I think they did aspire to be remembered for having done something that made people's lives better. And that comes at a certain point in a leader. I mean, Teddy admitted when he first went into public office when he was 23, he wasn't going in to make people's lives better. He just liked the adventure of being a politician. But then he went into tenements that he was investigating in the state legislature. He saw, when he was police commissioner, what the slums were like in the middle of the night. When he was a soldier in the Spanish-American War, he's sharing food and shelter with his soldiers. When he was governor, he saw the corruption that was going on between the political bosses and the business community. So by the time he became president, he'd had this huge winding path where he'd learned through political experience, he'd learned empathy. I think Lincoln was born with it, as you say. He had to learn it. And I think one of the difficulties of this last election was that political experience, or even leadership experience, was considered a liability. And we were looking for somebody outside the system because the political system had failed us. It was understandable. But unless somebody has experience to learn how to deal with all sorts of people, to learn how to lead, to learn how to acknowledge errors and learn from their mistakes, to learn how to shoulder blame for other people, all the things you learn as a leader, then by the time you get to the presidency, it's pretty hard to learn that. So I think we have to reevaluate what we're looking for in our leaders. It doesn't have to be political experience. I think you could have a great business leader who's led a huge company and has led that company well, and the company's made a difference in people's lives, and they've learned how to navigate shareholders and customers and people all over the world. But it's just a matter of, are they a leader that we can see these strengths are in? Before Tim Russert died in 2008, we used to talk about the fact that if only the media would cover the people who are running for office in a different way, not simply to talk about who zings who in a debate, who's raised the most money, who's the most interesting guy at that moment, what they're standing for, because they may not carry out what they're standing for. We should look at their past. They'd all been leaders somewhere, usually as a governor, a mayor, or a senator, or a congressman. You could talk to their staffs. You could do an analysis. What kind of a team builder were they? What kind of traits did they show? What kind of weaknesses do they have? Could they acknowledge error? And it was something Tim and I were planning to hope that we could talk about on his shows and then make that the way journalists covered campaigns. So we got to figure that out too, how we cover campaigns and what the primary system is all about and what these stupid debates are about, which aren't debates at all. There's a moment in one of Lincoln's debates that I loved where somebody said to him, "Lincoln, you're two-faced." And his immediate response was, "If I had two faces, do you think I'd be wearing this face?" He could have done it. He could have, but he understood. He understood that there was a difference in campaigning and governing, that once you were governing, you had to worry about your words. He never spoke spontaneously, extemporaneously, really, hardly ever as president. He was afraid he might say something that would not be taken the right way. So he prepared almost everything he said. When people would come after a victory and they serenade him at the White House and they wanted him to give a speech. And he would just thank the soldiers, thank them for coming. They'd sing some songs and saved his words because he knew that words mattered, that you're setting a tone for the entire country. And I think all of us need to remember that again now in this uncivil climate where people say things and bully each other, even on social media, and those words can hurt or those words can inspire. It could be either way.